That would be kind of cool.
I'll throw down a fake microphone thing. I'm out of here.
that would be. All right, we're back at the dark alley behind Geaffrey's, and I ran into Mr. J.T. Krul of Fathom, currently Captain Atom, and just off of Green Arrow.
Technically, he didn't run into me in the alley. I was actually in signing when we came out here to have this. It's not like he bumped into me like doing drugs in the corner or something.
Well, I was doing drugs.
Okay, there you go.
You came out to see what was back here.
Exactly.
So, well, how do you like the turnout at Geaffrey?
It's great. I mean, I've been doing a lot of signings for the new 52, and it's been just great getting out and seeing the fans. And even though, I mean, Los Angeles, you're kind of local, but it's still so spread out to be able to come down and do these signings in stores and areas that I don't get to as much because I live up in San Fernando Valley. So it's kind of cool to kind of branch out, see some new fans, and and that way people don't have to drive as far. And it's been great. It's been great seeing the turnout, and everybody just seems really happy with the stuff and excited for what we're doing.
That sounds great. Now, you're here promoting basically the new 52 stuff, but what's the other stuff that you've worked on and probably currently working on?
Well, I work a lot with Aspen Comics. They really are the responsible for me actually being able to work in comic books. I mean, they really gave me my first real kind of shot in the arm, and gave me. I did a couple of small things for Marvel, but they were the ones that I really was able to come on board, and I wrote Fathom for them. I started writing Soulfire for them. I'm actually still writing Soulfire. We're on volume 3 right now, and Jason Fabok's doing the art for it. It'll finish up this spring, and it's if you haven't read Soulfire, it's a great futuristic adventure story about kind of a world overwrought with technology, and magic is coming back to the world. So it's almost like we're trying to find our spiritual core, if you will. And it's about a boy named Malachi who is responsible for ushering in the next great age of magic. And there's winged warriors, and there's dragon and cybernetic warriors, and it's just a lot of fun. And so it's got a real the third volume's got a very summer blockbuster feel to it, and so it's a lot of action, a lot of fun, exotic locales, and it's just if you like fun and dragons and magic and action, then it's a good book to check out.
Who doesn't?
Exactly.
Now you said you worked on Fathom, and from my youth, Fathom was one of the books that I constantly read when Michael Turner was doing it at Top Cow.
Right.
And then it switched over. How was it for you to follow that in terms of, follow his work, but also deal with fans probably not, holding you on a pedestal, expecting too much? Did you ever encounter any of that?
Like anything. I mean, people don't like change. They want what they want, and so it's hard. But I didn't really get too much of it. People were just excited to see the book come out again. So because when Mike left Top Cow and he started Aspen Comics, that was their big thing, is they wanted to get Fathom out there again. And so I came on and helped out with a miniseries called Dawn of War, with Talent Caldwell doing the art for it. And then as I was doing that, then they asked me if I wanted to do volume 2, which I did with Coy Turnbull. And Mike, because it's his baby, I mean, it was great being able to kind of, and an honor actually, to be able to have him kind of pass the reins off and have me do it. But he was involved in everything we were doing. I was really just kind of continuing to tell the story he started in volume 1 and everything through volumes 2 and volumes 3 and everything we did. Like his fingerprints are all over it. I mean, he was definitely was the captain of that ship. So it really was just a matter of kind of continuing on what he had always the vision he always had for it. So it was a tremendous experience. All the Aspen stuff, the Fathom and launching Soulfire, or going on to Soulfire and helping them out with that. And I realized that I've been writing Soulfire since 2004 now. So I've been writing it on and off again for about 7 years now. So it's my longest project, and it's great. I mean, we're finishing up volume 3. We have a big event for this next summer called The Search for the Light that we're going to do over the summer, and it's going to lead right into volume 4. And so it's, like I said, it's the book I've been with the longest, and it's kind of holds a special place. So
what's the difference? How different is it rather to work for someone like Aspen, which is a little smaller, but has such out there ideas for titles, and I'm sure it kind of affects how they let you work on things. Do they kind of pull the choke chain a little?
At Aspen, or
at Aspen, or how does it differ from DC?
It's well, I mean, the honest truth is, with Aspen, we're dealing with relatively newer properties. So with Soulfire, even the stuff we're doing now, like going into volume 4, is a very big, almost mythology tale where we're really digging into the core of the Soulfire universe and where the magic comes from and what it all means, and we're kind of introducing some new concepts. It's a relatively young universe. Like I said, it launched in 2004. When you go into a book like DC and you do something like Green Arrow, it's been around for a long time, and so there's a lot more that iconic nature there, and just by default, that stepping into a project like that, like there's a lot more ground to cover and a lot more things you need to take into consideration. And like you said, Aspen's a smaller company, DC's a bigger company. You know, they're doing the comic books. They're also thinking about film and television, all that sort of stuff. So they definitely have, I guess, you know, more eyes on it than you will, like from an internal standpoint. You know, with Aspen, when we put stuff together, it's Frank and Peter and Vince and, you know, and Mark Roslin and Josh. And it just kind of it's a small core there. So, but we all do kind of sit around and talk about the stories and what we want to do and what would work and what would be great and what Mike would have wanted. And so with DC, you have that, but there's more so because then you've got editor-in-chiefs, you've got your editors and the group editors, and it's kind of a bigger system. So, but it's all still fun. It's all still comic books. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with that.
What's your dream project to work on? Is there anything that you've been a fan of for just so long?
Wow. At DC, the character I'd really like to do something with is the Question, because I've never written the Question before. Yeah. Actually, I threw a tease in I did a Flashpoint miniseries, Dead Man and the Flying Graces.
Right.
And in the last...
Fantastic, by the way.
Thanks.
I love...
Thanks.
Not to spoil anything, but I'm going to spoil it because it's what I do. The Dr. Fate, Nightwing, Grayson... fantastic.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And so, at the end of it, and we're spoiling it, but whatever.
Yeah. You should have been reading it.
You should have, yes. They're approached by members of the Resistance, and the two characters I had kind of at Britannia's side one was the Question, and one was Kid Devil. Because writing Teen Titans, Kid Devil was the character I really wish would have been around, because I really would have liked to have written for him. The Question's another one that I'd really like to tackle. Beyond that, I grew up reading comics, obviously, and X-Men's always been like a favorite of mine, and Alpha Flight. So those are always ones that are like, you know, across the pond, so to speak. Those would be great characters. Cyclops is one of my favorite characters.
Oh,
so
nice. Yeah. Did you read any of the newer Alpha Flight that they tried doing?
I haven't gotten it yet. Because Greg's stuff, I really want to read it. I'm terribly behind on stuff because with the new 52 stuff, like I've just
been working.
I've been kind of buried. So, but Greg's a great writer, and I really want to check that out. There's some really cool characters there. So yeah.
At what age did you realize you wanted to work in comics?
Well, I mean, I started collecting comics when I was like 8. I wrote in junior high and high school, studied film and television and writing in college. So it's always something, I mean, comics have always been part of my life. I kind of dropped out a little bit around late college just because I didn't have the money to buy them.
Yeah.
And so then I was able to come back in once I got employed. And then, like, as far as pursuing it as a career, it wasn't until I moved out to California that I really kind of started to kind of try to get back in the world. But as a lot of people know, it's really hard. I mean, it's really hard to get in the comic book business. Like, it's a really, artists, like if you go to the, because I have a lot of writers come up to me all the time, like, how do you get in? What do I do? And it's I feel bad because it's kind of a deflating conversation because it's a really tough nut to crack. With artists, you can do, they have the talent searches. So if you have it, you can take portfolios. Editors are always looking for artists. They're not always looking for writers. It's like if they have a new book, it's like, well, let's see, can we give Geoff Johns a new book? Or at Marvel, it's like Brian Bendis. It's like, well, if you have a Geoff Johns or Brian Bendis book, it's going to sell a lot more. So trying to find the ability to get those new voices and be able to come in. So I'd actually talked with DC for, like 3 years or more before I actually finally got my first work with them. So.
Now, speaking around the DC part of the conversation here, there's a lot of speculation on the internet, and I'm probably going to word this the wrong way, but you left Green Arrow. Is there something you can tell us about that?
Yeah, I was on Green Arrow through issue 3, and the honest truth is just another project came up that I wanted to do. And I just started Captain Atom, and I didn't want to leave it because I just started. And I love Green Arrow. Oliver Queen's a fantastic character, but I'd written him for a little over almost 2 years, going back to the Blackest Night issue, and then I did the Fall of Green Arrow, and then the Brightest Day launch, which I had a lot of fun with. And but it was just a matter of it was a tough decision to make. But the thing that's cool about what DC's doing is with the new line, is they're kind of taking these characters, and if it's something that's kind of been off the grid for a while, there's like an opportunity there to kind of play with it a little more and kind of do different things and think outside the box. Like Captain Atom was one that it's very different. I mean, it's still the core of the character, but it's very different than the way he's been before.
Yeah.
And that excites me, and that's something that I have fun doing. And so being able to do that, and it's something I kind of wanted to do. So. Unfortunately, I don't know when they're going to announce that project. It might be a little bit ways off. But I actually have another one that they're going to announce hopefully shortly after the first of the year. So, which is a character I've never written before, really for DC Comics that that I think people will understand. Like, oh, it's obvious you would want to do this project. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, now you're really teasing us, and I'm getting a little excited. But yeah, I guess we'll end it here.
All right.
On a high note.
All right. Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.T. Krul.
Thanks, guys.